have anything to report.
Okay, it's 7:30. Could we call the meeting to order, please? And could the clerk please read the statement?
This is a meeting of the Township of Vernon for Monday, September 8, 2014. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public and the press on January 8, 2014. It was posted at the bulletin board in the municipal building in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-7.
Thank you, and could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Kadesh.
Here?
Councilmember Murphy.
Here.
Councilmember Rizzuto.
Here.
Councilmember Wetzel.
Here.
Council President Lynch.
Okay, absent. And since in his absence, may we have a motion for an acting council president, please?
Move Mr. Kadesh to act as chair for this meeting.
And do we have a second?
I'll second
Okay.
Councilmember Kadesh.
Yes.
it. Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto.
Yes.
Councilmember Wetzel.
Yes.
Motion carries. Councilmember Kadesh to be acting council president.
Want your name?
Very proud to present you with this gavel.
Kevin.
I can barely
Here's the seal.
grasp it.
Okay.
Please join me in saluting the flag. Mayor Murata, would you like to read the proclamation? Oh, I'm sorry. First, I guess we have to open up to the public, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, may I have a motion to open the floor to the public?
Motion. Motion.
Second, please.
Second.
Floor is open to the public. Anyone wish to speak? Mr. Martinson.
Good evening. Kind of a thumbs up and a thumbs down. The thumbs up is that the fire departments, the emergency responders and everything, I think did a wonderful job, and I'm glad that nobody was injured, apparently, and that things were quickly snuffed out. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, I have mixed emotions about bringing this up, but I kind of have to, in my opinion, and I'm sure it may not sit well with some others, but the back issue, the whole back page of this past week's AIM is this fall, shop local and save on your property taxes. Shop Vernon Township. Now, I don't have a problem with promoting shopping in Vernon Township, but I think there should be some mention of the other businesses. I don't think we should be promoting just the ones that are on here. And to further that, I went to the township website, and if you go to the first page, there's a tab up there that says Shop Vernon. Okay? So anybody comes in and they hit that, and it's just about this and just these businesses. There's no other businesses in the township listed. There isn't even on that page the what do you call it? Chamber of Commerce. It's not there. Now, if you go to the organizations, you can find the Chamber of Commerce. In fairness, I went to their website as well, and I'm disappointed in that. And part of the reason I'm bringing this up is because we're talking about how we have to do all these special things and do a lot to bring business to Vernon. You really got to take care of who's here. There are over 200 businesses when we did the survey the one time. And I know there was another survey done. This includes 22. The Chamber of Commerce page includes 50, of which I believe 10 are not even in the township. And if you take out the banks, which to me are basically utilities, they're not, yes, they are a business, but you're going to have to use the bank. You don't have to shop there. You go to they have a page there on that, and I'm hoping Elmer's going to, I know he's been recently put in charge of that, or was elected to chair or president of that. Hopefully he can make some segues there. But if you go to that, there's several tours. One of them is food and stuff. There's 3 food places listed, and one of them isn't in Vernon. If you go to another one, there's nothing there. And if you look at the businesses, again, a lot of them are not only out of the township, they're out of the state. So I think as a township, if you're really concerned about what you can do with your businesses, 1, you can't do this and slight everybody else. 2, we have to get the chamber somehow to not just host, not just list the businesses that are part of the chamber. That's okay, and I can understand that, the membership, but I think there should be at least a listing of businesses that are not. We did that on our site. It's out of date, but we had over 200 businesses in the database. So I know there were that many. Thank you.
Good evening, Teresa Vitti, Glenwood, and I'm also co-chairperson of the Economic Development. I would like to address the concern for Mr. Martinson. The reason that there's only the 20 or so businesses listed in the ad are because those are the businesses that are paying and participating in the Shop Local program. He's more than welcome to join the program, and his business will be listed as well. I can't speak for the chamber. I'm not part of the chamber. But businesses that do participate in the Shop Local program are local businesses to Vernon. There are no out-of-state businesses. There are no out-of-town businesses. And if, like I said, I would love to extend the invitation if he would like to join. It's $10 a month, and he knows he can, contact the EDAC for more information. So, thank you.
My name is Krista Gary, and I want to make the citizens of the county aware of some of the problems existing in Vernon at this time. Several people, including my husband, Robert Gary, are presently being sued by the township attorney, Kevin Kelly, and Mayor Victor Murata. This is with regard to the petition that was filed regarding Camp Sussex. This is a legal petition. It was signed by 800 residents and certified by the town clerk. It was supposed to be entered on a ballot for a vote in November. Township citizens want to vote on this issue, and it does not belong in the courtroom. It belongs on a ballot. Since the mayor has deep pockets with other people's money, this lawsuit will only result in extra expenditures for our town. Sally Rinker continues to be attacked by certain individuals. They are deliberately going out of their way to be malevolent. What's wrong with these people who continue to plan their character assassination against her? This is absolutely appalling. Sally wants what's best for the town and wants to see it going in the right direction. She's doing what she believes is the accurate thing to do, and she expects the same from our governing body. There are those who gloat over others' misfortunes since they are continuously seeking vengeance. Those who seek revenge will be destroyed by their hatred. They are their own worst enemies. The Christian way is to love your neighbor and to help those who are going through difficult times. I was outraged by the attacks against the Kadishes. The mayor's negative editorial statements about them are very inflammatory and unbefitting of someone in his position. I don't know if you've lost all sense of decency by trying to destroy their credibility. The words of the reckless pierce the heart and can crush or destroy someone. And what fills the heart comes out of the mouth. The Bible admonishes us to let no evil talk come out of our mouths, but only what is useful for building up others according to their needs, so that it may bring grace to those who hear. It's always wrong to tear someone down because of your own insecurities in an attempt to build yourself up. Let me end by saying that I will never be silenced by fear, intimidations, or lawsuits. I will always speak up when I see a wrongdoing. I will always stand up for my rights and for what I believe in. And I believe we all have the right to have our voices heard. The voices of the people are the voices of liberty, truth, and freedom, and all the good that America stands for. This country was founded on these very principles, and we won't give them up. Only God can heal and transform hardened, cold hearts. And my prayer is He will do so for those people in our town who so desperately need to have theirs transformed. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Motion to close? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sally.
Sorry, I'm slow getting up. Good evening, Sally Rinker, Vernon. Please allow me to read a quote. When the time comes when we cannot rely on our governing body to abide by the law, someone must stand up and call the situation for what it is. Victor Murata, June 29, 2009. Well, I am here tonight to call our current situation for what it is. My comments are directed at the mayor and his three friends, sorry Mr. Lynch isn't here tonight, on this council. We do not currently have a government for the people. Our government is a perfect example of a tyranny. The ruler of a tyranny is called a tyrant. This is evidenced by the actions of the tyrant, who uses a bully pulpit he calls Vernon Vibes, but we know it as Vic's Vibes. One can see his peculiar mannerisms and verbal assaults wielded on any and all who question his actions. The tyrant has slowly but surely turned most of Vernon's committees and boards, which are supposed to complement the work of a government, into political action committees. They carry out his orders to insult, assault, and bully anyone who questions the tyrant. The tyrant has continued his agenda with the blessings of three councilmen who have completely abdicated their responsibility to the tyrant. So what can residents and taxpayers do? We come to meetings to learn what the government is doing with our money and what decisions they are making. Friends of the tyrant, looking to stay in his good graces, attack, malign, and slander those of us who come, many who sit on committees and boards, acting much like the tyrant they serve. What does this government do when they can't silence those who are watching and understand what we are seeing? They make up lies, accuse and attack, all in the effort to squash the voices of the people. As to the lawsuit involving the 119 Social Security numbers sent to members of the public, when the public was seeking financial information, very few people believed that was an accident. It seemed to be a pushback to avoid revealing that this mayor and council gave bonuses and raises in defiance of a vote. We had 2 salary ordinance petitions that were embroiled in pushback from this mayor and council. A right to petition our government is inherent in our form of government. And here we are again, Camp Sussex. Did this council know the mayor led you to vote on yet another lawsuit to squash the will of the people? That's what you did at the last council meeting. Did you know seeking a declaratory judgment is a lawsuit? Why are you afraid to let the people vote? Well, when we 5 petitioners were served, named as defendants, and requested to respond with our $136 filing fee, and included is a request from the town that we pay the legal fees. That, my friends, is a lawsuit. You should be ashamed of yourselves showing such cowardice by preventing the voters and taxpayers from having a voice. Using attorneys, lawsuits, and taxpayers' money is the modus operandi of this mayor. How dare this council sanction such abuse? Spite is his game, and Vic is his name, and I want everyone to know that no matter how bullied, insulted, assaulted, and attacked we are, we will not be silenced, as you have tried to do with lawsuits, social media, and letters to the editors. It is you who look desperate. And as long as I pay taxes in this town, I will be watching every move you make and speaking about any and everything I wish. Thank you.
Anyone else? May I have a motion?
Moved.
Second.
To close? Thank you. I guess that's a roll call, right?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Would you like to read the proclamation?
Sure. Thank you. Proclamation. Whereas prostate cancer is a serious threat to men's health across New Jersey and the nation, and whereas while the causes of prostate cancer are still unknown, men with certain risk factors may be more likely to develop the disease, and most men who suffer from prostate cancer are over the age of 65, and those whose fathers, brothers, or sons have had the disease are also at greater risk. And African American men experience both the highest incident and the highest mortality rates. And whereas increased public awareness of this disease, its risk factors, and its symptoms may save lives as men across New Jersey learn to recognize the warning signs of prostate cancer as listed at www.cancer.gov. And whereas prostate cancer is treatable when detected early, and prompt treatment can significantly reduce the suffering and deaths caused by this disease, now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Vernon that the month of September shall be proclaimed Prostate Cancer Awareness Month in the Township of Vernon, and that we encourage citizens to stand together against this disease. September 2014, Prostate Cancer Awareness Month in Vernon Township.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Would you like to give your report?
I sure would. This week, we received, after going through an extensive review process by the Moody's bond rating service, a Moody's bond rating of A3, which is a maintenance of the rating that Vernon Township has held for the past 3 years. As a matter of fact, they were interested in re-looking at us because of the refunding bond that this council approved, and the bond that's being offered will be offered at the same rating as all other borrowing that the township has done. It will lead to a significantly lower interest rate, and as a result of that rating, today we were informed by our bond underwriters that the savings on the refunding bond, and you'll recall at the time that our professionals were here, they spoke in terms of the potential for a 4.5% savings, actually will come in at about a 6% savings, and as a result of the rating and also as a result of market conditions, that will result in the bond saving us somewhere in the neighborhood of $310,000, which is approximately $30,000 more than had been projected at the time that the decision was being considered. As a result of those conditions and that rating, our CFO, Elka Yetter, today directed our bond underwriter to go to market immediately and take advantage of the interest rates. I also would like to report to the council that we have received our new street sweeper, and the community will be seeing it very, very shortly. It's been out on a few maiden runs and training runs. That street sweeper is also, as you will recall, a vac truck, and I'm happy to report that because we were able to, in fact, purchase a manufacturer's demo model which had 500 miles on it, we were able to save $41,000 in the price of the sweeper. The initial, as you will recall from the bond issue, the initial projection was approximately $280,000. We ended up with a price of just under $240,000, and we now have it in hand, and we are using it, as opposed to having to wait 9 months in manufacturing. So we're looking forward to it. Obviously, we're moving forward with the Oil and Stone project. As a matter of fact, at this point in time, almost 80% of this year's streets have, in fact, been attended to. The last area to be done is the area on the mountain of Karen Drive and that area. The reason I mention it in conjunction, of course, is that the street sweeper is very important, because after the stone has been put down and allowed to seed for a while, then we have to go back and sweep it back up. So we're happy to have the new one in operation, and it certainly will lend itself to keeping our streets cleaner and completing our road projects, our secondary and tertiary road projects. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I have a question. We don't lease that sweeper out to anybody, do we, ever?
I'm sorry?
The sweeper, that, we don't ever lease that out to any other towns, do we?
We have it under my administration.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering. And just a question I have that would fall on you is I had, over the last couple weeks, a couple different parents that I ran into. One asked me about the playground at the flats, and I just told them I had no idea. I said, I knew that you mentioned that there would be a smaller playground constructed. I just said I really had no idea when it was, because I didn't believe that that was anything that was budgeted this year.
Actually, there is not a direct budget for it this year. Since you raised the issue, it gives me the opportunity to point out that as I did on social media, that playground we were directed to close it by our insurer.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing how Vernon Township is, had we closed it, the likelihood is that people would have used it anyway, and our insurer would not insure us for it. So to answer your question, the first thing that we're going to do in the 2015 budget is to look at reconfiguring the fields that are at the flats. There will be room for a playground there, and it will be one that meets safety standards. There are lots of considerations that I'm sure the Recreation Department will bring forward. There's been discussion of a splash area. I don't know the exact term that you use for it, but where the youngsters can, play and have water and the
I'm
like.
thinking of mosquitoes, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, exactly. The point I'm making is that no final decisions have been made, other than there will be a playground there when the reconfiguration is complete.
And the other actually has to do with, I was approached by somebody from youth football and cheer, and I guess they were probably addressing some concerns about Maple Grange, and I told them I really didn't know. As far as the concession stands, is the concession stand open there? Does the town run it?
Actually, at this point in time, not. Maybe you'll recall that when Mr. Giants was our business administrator, he brought forward the fact that in order for the concession stand to be open, the law required that we had to have a bidding process for people to use it. And the first year that was put into place, the PAL actually bid and opened the concession stands. Turned out not to be a profitable thing for them on two fronts. One was that it was very hard to get people to volunteer to have the stand open at all times when there were things going on. And secondly, from a dollars and cents point of view, it did not make money. So that when it came up again for a request for proposal, we didn't get any.
So it's not really being manned for, and I guess what's happened with the Vernon Youth and Football, I guess what they tried to do is, they're of course saying, why can't we build a small concession stand by our field and sell? And I said, that's really not up to the council. I said it's something that they'd have to come and either go to the mayor or come to a meeting.
As far as I know, I have not had any indication that there was a desire to do that, but certainly Mrs. Weidbach is the person that would be the contact, and certainly tomorrow morning I'll check and see if she's any communication.
Yeah, and she may not. Like I said, I received a phone call, and it was from a coach who told me he had 26 children. Of course, when they have games, of course, the other teams or the other towns bring their kids, and they said we could use the fundraisers, we could, you're in the middle of, to some of them, nowhere. Where do you get a cup of coffee? Where do you get something to eat when you have your other two children with you? And they just said it would really be great, even if they were providing their own materials to build something. But like I said, I'm sure with insurance and everything else, there's always other things to consider.
The building part could be a problem, but certainly if football, there was a time where football did open that snack bar for everybody. Certainly if they're interested in doing it, they're perfectly welcome to make a proposal to the Recreation Department. It's not as though that we're not interested in having them do it.
Right. And is there supposed to be a concession stand later on when the fields over here, if the flats are reconfigured too?
Oh, there is one already.
Right, but did they use that?
It hasn't been used, as far as I know, in quite some time.
Yeah, okay. All right. Thanks.
May I have a motion to approve the August 18th work session minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? Are there any suggestions, changes, or corrections?
Councilmember Kadesh?
Yes?
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto?
Yes.
Councilmember Wetzel? Motion carries to approve minutes.
I guess I need my,
It's in, right, next page.
yeah, but it's not here. Oh, there, okay.
First item.
The next item is item number 9 for the consent agenda. We have 6 resolutions. Resolution 14-146, authorizing in-rem foreclosure proceedings. The township is a holder of a number of tax sale certificates which have not been redeemed. This resolution gives authorization to foreclose on these properties pursuant to NJSA 54:5-104.29 and gives it sequential statutes. Resolution 14-147, refunding a tax overpayment as a result of an error on the part of the payee. The property taxes were overpaid on several properties in the township. This resolution authorizes the refund of those overpayments. Resolution 14-148, Chapter 159, resolution requesting approval of revenue and appropriation amending the 2014 budget as a revenue and an appropriation of $2,185.96. The township has been awarded that amount of money for the Municipal Court Alcohol Education Rehabilitation and Enforcement Fund. This resolution authorizes the insertion of these funds into the annual budget. Resolution number 14-149 authorizes the use of Morris County Co-op Contract number 52 to purchase a clean agent fire suppression system for the Vernon Township Police Department server room and vault. The township has a need to purchase a fire suppression system for the police department server and vault room. This resolution authorizes the purchase of the system utilizing the Morris County Co-op. Resolution 14-150, authorizing the placement of a banner for Heroes for Mackenzie. Mackenzie Hook was a 9-year-old Vernon Township resident whose life was tragically cut short this year as a result of AT/RT cancer. This resolution authorizes the placement of a banner alongside Route 515, and Route 94 to advertise the September 27th, 2014 fundraiser to be held at the Wharton American Legion in her memory. Resolution 14-151, authorizing the contract with Thomson Reuters West. The township currently utilizes a paper book system for the New Jersey statute annotated library. This resolution authorizes the township to go ahead with the purchase of the New Jersey statutes annotated online, as well as the New Jersey Administrative Code and the New Jersey Practices Series, allowing better access to necessary tools and achieving a cost savings over if these books were purchased as paper versions. May I have a motion to adopt the resolutions 146 through 14-151, 14-146 through 14-151.
Motion.
Okay, first motion was made by Ms. Murphy, the second motion by Dick Wetzel.
Councilmember Kadesh?
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto?
Yes.
Councilmember Wetzel?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt resolution 14-146.
Number 10, item number 10, introduction, first reading of the proposed ordinances. Ordinance 14-18, an ordinance to amend the land development ordinance of the Township of Vernon by adoption of a revised page 1 of the zoning map, section 330-158 of chapter 330. In 1998, the township changed several properties into the CR zone. However, Block 184, Lot 18.01 was not among those changed. At that time, when the zoning map was drafted, Block 184, Lot 18.01 was inadvertently included in the CR zone on the zoning map. This zone provides for the correction of the zoning map consistent with the zoning of the property, Zone C3. I think it's also for commercial, isn't it? May I have a motion to introduce the ordinance 14-18 with a public hearing to be held on October 16th, 2014? Motion? Mr. Wetzel makes the first motion. Any second?
I'll second.
Mr. Rizzuti, second.
Councilmember Cadish?
Yes?
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Councilmember Zeno?
Yes.
Councilmember Wetzel? Motion carries to introduce ordinance 1418 for the public hearing on October 6th.
Okay. So, good to note, that's on a Thursday. All right. Who would like to go first for council comments? How about Dick? Council comments?
I just have a question for the mayor. And I know people have been talking to Jane, people have been talking to me also. Whose responsibility is the divider on Route 515? Is it the county?
It's the county. It's a county road.
It was
The divider is the county's responsibility.
designed
Except for
by the
first-
county.
Yeah, but it's getting very, very sharp.
Sure is. Except for the first 50 feet from 94 heading south, that's owned by the state. The first 50 feet on Route 515 of that divider is owned by the state of New Jersey. The rest of it is owned by the county. And you're absolutely right, it is getting to look very shoddy.
Anything we can do?
Well, I've had conversations with him on several occasions, but you can see what the result of that has been.
Otherwise, no comment.
Mr. Rizzuto?
No, only that the form of government that we have here is not a direct democracy, meaning people don't get to vote on everything directly. They elect their representative. And I believe it's called a representative democracy. And quite honestly, I am getting a little bit upset to have him being called a party of a tyrant, a tool of the mayor, simply because I or my associates, colleagues choose to agree with his particular point of view, does not necessarily make us wrong or a tool of that particular individual. Rather, it just makes us three men, in this case, who happen to have the same viewpoint. And to be told that we are trying to, suborn a type of government that, that oppresses the people, and that we are looking to go after people if they have a different point of view. I certainly wish these people that make those comments would come forward with some examples, because I certainly don't know of anything in that regard. And, unless there are black helicopters coming around in the middle of the night that we happen to own, that I don't know anything about, as far as I'm concerned, it's a different point of view. And simply because we choose to exercise the right of expressing our positions with a different point of view, we do so as representatives of the people. They voted for us, and in 4 years, they can choose not to vote for me. That's the way it's supposed to work. I don't put my finger in the air to see which way the wind blows. Let somebody else do that. Let somebody else who doesn't have the strength of their convictions or can't support their position do that. I'm quite comfortable, and I'm sure my associate to my right is, and my absent associate to my left is quite comfortable in being able to defend their positions. So to be called a tyrant, to be called a tool, is, in my opinion, totally and completely wrong. We choose our positions carefully. The fact that we chose to go to court on the issue of Camp Sussex was not because of Camp Sussex. It was because of an issue of the council, this government, losing control over an area that the council, we felt, the majority, had the responsibility for. It is not something that was delegated to the people, because as per the documents, the people had already spoken, and we were fulfilling the requests, the requirements, the wishes of the people in our actions. Should you not happen to agree with our positions, that's the way it is. But to be called insensitive, to be called a tyrant, to be called a person that has no feeling for the government that we have, I believe that's totally incorrect. I think we have the government that we chose, whether we like it or not, and we have to make the best of it. Thank you.
Councilperson Murphy?
Hi. At the county, is that like, who at the county is responsible? Who is it that you'd speak to? I mean, does it
Chief
fall under
Planning.
freeholders, or does it fall under?
Planning.
I speak to the engineering department, which is Walter Cramp.
Okay, I was just wondering, like, what department that actually falls under.
My understanding is that there's some controversy over, I assume you're talking about
The divider, I'm
island.
sorry, what Mr. Wetzel brought up.
There's some controversy over it because initially, going back through the records, Vernon Township really wanted the responsibility for maintaining that road in terms of the shrubbery and things of that sort. And initially, the county said no. Then at some point, there's a memorandum in the file of a meeting that was held by Mrs. Pat Seeger and I can't remember who the manager was. There were so many managers, but at any rate, the manager and Mrs. Pat Seeger met with the county, John Risco, and I'm trying to think of who the engineer was at that time. I don't believe it was Walter Cramp, listing what Vernon could do and couldn't do on the edges of that road. But as far as the responsibility for maintaining that road, that's a county road. Mm-hmm. And the design of it was done with the approval of the county engineers. Actually, you may recall that in the beginning of my administration, I approached the county about removing that barrier. And there was, at the freeholder level at that time, some willingness to consider it. However, the state DOT stepped in and said, no, the first 50 feet belong to us, and we won't agree to have that taken out of there because that particular area is was a high accident area. Interestingly enough, looking at the records, I don't think the accidents there are any more or any less now than they were before the barrier was there.
And because I worked over there for 17 years, the accidents were always at, like, I don't know what bank it is now, Bank of New York. Mm-hmm. And it was not until they widened the road that happened. And it was not the normal traffic. It was people pulling out of that one intersection. But I know that I did speak to somebody because they said that red paint or layer that they put on it has not been successful any place
Not at
throughout
all.
the county.
And if you look at the crosswalks have those imitation brick, and they're popping out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beginning to deteriorate.
Well, and one of the issues is last week I was driving up past the Luke Oil, and there were two kids on a bicycle heading towards the A&P in that narrow, and, the speed limit's 40 miles an hour. So I think that they really
dangerous.
they didn't take things into
In a
consideration.
recent conversation with one of the town council members who was on the council at the time of that, What apparently the council wanted was the kind of divider that, and we see them all over the place, which actually is kind of like a hump in the road with paving block in the center, so that, in fact, if you had to go over it, you could, a car or a truck or whatever could go over it. For some reason or another, the engineering firm and the county engineers chose to do it the way they did. Again, that was done at a time that I was not involved in government, but I happen to agree with most of the people who would like to see it gone.
As I remember it, I don't like to point fingers, as you well know. The county was very resistant to any suggestions that we had whatsoever. And there was
I
a
think
great
you're
deal
right,
of,
Dan.
there was a great deal of objection to what they had designed. But they claimed it was their area of expertise and their territory, and that's the way it was going to be.
Well, I got the same kind of information from some of the council members that were on the town council at that time, that they felt as though it was, their suggestions and the like were falling on deaf ears.
Yeah.
And another question I have, actually something else, but actually it's for Kevin. And the question I have, according to our town code, we are, the council is in fact the Open Space Committee. That's that one item that was changed. And I think in 2011, when the council became the committee. And my question would be, let's just say on an item like the bike path, the information that is out there on the bike path, would that be information that's out there? Because I'm interested in seeing what was put together. I know that Craig Williams had it for, I guess, several years. He was working on it, and it went to the Environmental Commission. So I'm just wondering, since we are, in fact, the Open Space Committee, where does that put us as far as the bike path?
Mrs. Murphy, I don't mean to be adversarial, but you're wrong. The Open Space Committee responsibility by our administrative code falls to the Environmental Commission. It's quite clear under New Jersey statutes.
Okay, but I'm reading what's in our book, and it was something that I brought to Mr. Kelly's attention, so I was asking him for his opinion.
Well, it may very well be that the administrative code, as in so many other cases, needs to be addressed.
Well, it was addressed in 2011, and that's where I'm getting it from. That was when that ordinance, I think it was 0016, was deleted. That's when that happened, from my understanding, from my conversation with Mr. Kelly. So since it does state that town council is the Open Space Committee, does negotiate, it's right there, that's what I've been handed, that's what I'm working on. If our code is continually in direct, contradiction to the state law, I mean, then there's a bigger problem here. But these items were created, this book was put together in 2011, from what I understand. And I'm just going by with what's in there, what I'm given to work with. And every time I go and I question something, I'm being told, well, it's wrong. And then I don't see anything getting corrected. And might I mention Resolution 1402 again? But
To the extent that there's a question pending with me, I will look up some of the issues just discussed. It's my recollection that Ordinance 0016, which in the year 2000 created the Open Space Committee, that ordinance expired by its own terms in the year 2006, and that those responsibilities were then given to the Environmental Commission. But that's my memory, and I'd have to look that up and get you a better response than that.
and that's fine, but I'm just going to go back
You're
to
talking about 590, right?
590, right.
Right,
Establishment
okay.
of Open Space Committee. Again, I'll bring it up. There shall not be established at this time an Open Space Committee in the Township of Vernon. The Township Council shall research, investigate, negotiate, and complete open space transactions in its discretion, including the management of the Open Space Trust Fund, as established in the historical note below. And the historical note below does reference the ordinance 00-16.
And that was in 2011.
Right, well, that's when this was...
What you just read. And I'm saying from 2006 through 2011, there was no Open Space Committee. At least that's what I understand. And that those functions were given to the Environmental Commission. But again,
But they were not.
They're-
If they were, then where were they?
you know, I'm
they
about
were-
to say, you deserve a better answer than off the
No,
top of my head.
But I'm at, and I've shared this with you, I'm at a point that I do ask questions, I do check, I get all my information, I ask, and it's continually ignored. That's what's in the book. It doesn't say the Environmental Commission. It's not against the Environmental Commission, because right away I'll have people saying I'm against them. It's not. This is what our code says.
I'll be happy to answer that. This is the council comment section of the meeting. I didn't know I was going to get questions here. So I
Well,
got
you know,
one, I'll be happy to answer
But
it.
it's gotten to a point that this is how I have to put it on the record, and I have to try to get
That's
my
fair.
answers this way.
I-
I'm not trying to be, this is not new that's being brought up, whether it's to you or here at a meeting. I think Mr. Kadish was the one that originally brought it up.
Okay.
But it's just that that's what it says. It has the history notation, it goes on and on and on. I understand that. But to just say that one day somebody walked in and said, okay, the Environmental Commission's doing it today, that's not how it is.
Didn't happen that way.
Well,
I might add also that there's a health department ordinance in our book, and we don't have a health department.
well,
Okay.
Are you finished?
for now, yes, thank you.
Okay. No comment from the president, acting president. May we have a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Second?
Second.
That's right.
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. 47. Gets it done.